relay those questions to her at the end. And at this time, it is my pleasure to turn the Zoom over to Jackie. So, Jackie, the Zoom is yours.
All right. Thank you, Jacqueline. It's great to be here, and certainly great to be in Medina area. I was mentioning or talking about this before we started. I love the Medina area. My daughters, I have twin daughters, and we spend a lot of time at Molly's Tea Room eating strawberry pretzel salad. So thank you for that.
I love that choice of yours. So yes, we would definitely need a strawberry pretzel jello salad date after this.
All right, you're on. Well, just a quick introduction. As Jacqueline mentioned, I'm Jacquie Chakirelis. I'm Director of Digital Strategy for Quest Digital and Great Lakes Publishing. Now, you might know us. Whoops, go back one time. There we go. You might know us by our publishers. We are the publishers of Ohio Magazine and Cleveland Magazine, as well as dozens of other B2B and B2C publications. But I handle the digital strategy of that entire group. And that means a few things. We work with our client partners on helping them improve their digital presence. And that starts with their website. We have a full-time developer on staff, so we don't farm anything out. Everything is done internally with our developer staff. We do websites and mobile apps. We work with our custom content team on engagement and content marketing strategies, as well as fulfillment. And then, of course, we do amplification, which is all about digital marketing. And everything that entails. So enough about us, let's talk about you. And specifically, I want to start off with a real quick assignment. If you could take out a blank sheet of paper or anything that's close to you, you can use your phone as well, and just write on that piece of paper someone you trust. I'll give you a few seconds there. And after you wrote that person's name, just fold it off and put it aside, and we'll come back to it later. So how many of you know who this is? Now, I can't see all of you, but I'm going to take a guess that most of you watching this knows that this is Reese Witherspoon. She's known for her acting and producing abilities, but she's also an entrepreneur and a small business owner. And she launched a clothing line called Draper James. Now, this past April, Draper James posted to more than its 760,000 followers on Instagram that it would offer teachers a free dress for their hard work during the pandemic. They wrote and were instructed to apply using a form, given a deadline, and told that winners would be notified, as well as the offer was valid while supplies last. And Reese Witherspoon herself appeared on the Today Show, offering to thank America's homebound teachers with a free Draper James dress. Now, so many of Reese's fans applauded this effort to support teachers during the COVID-19 challenges, and the related posts on Twitter and Instagram were really a great example of how brand leaders and businesses can lend support to customers and deepen the trust they place in our business. Until it wasn't. You see, teachers who had applied for the free dress started to complain that Draper James was spamming them with marketing messages. Some began wondering if anyone had received the dresses that were promised. Then, after applicants went back to read the fine print in the posted offer, they took to Twitter to express their anger and frustration upon discovering that Draper James only planned on giving away 250 free dresses. Now, considering nearly 1 million teachers applied, that lack of clarity around the meaning of while supplies last was not appreciated. The problem was Draper James was a small business. It was only 5 years old and had fewer than 30 employees, and really only had 250 dresses in 6 different styles in stock for the giveaway. Now, there are more than 3 million public schools teachers in the United States. Most of them are women. And by the close of the application period, as I mentioned, Draper James had almost 1 million applications. The numbers were never going to add up. Very quickly, the desire to help started to look like a cynical marketing ploy, and a new term called celebrity COVID washing was born. That wasn't the worst of it. The backlash continued, and it became clear that not only did the teacher community feel offended by the marketing promotion, the coupon consolation prize made teachers feel that Draper James was really out of touch with them and clearly were not empathetic to their financial situation. Now, most of us can empathize that Draper James dress debacle was not meant to cause harm to the teacher community or to the company. But unfortunately, the company has lost something really valuable that not even the goodwill of its celebrity founder will be able to overcome easily. Good intentions or not, they seeded mistrust in the minds of their customers and their audience. Unfortunately, Reese and her team has stayed silent about the mistakes and made that silence jeopardize the brand's trust they've worked so hard to build. And earning that trust back is going to be tough and not an easy road. So let's dig into why brand trust is the most important asset you as a business owner can build. Don't worry, I'll have a few tips for Reese and Draper James as we get to the end. Now, I spent my career working for media organizations and newsrooms. Public trust has and continues to be the cornerstone of a free press. And I grew up in an era where being a journalist was one of the most respected occupations. Can anyone guess who this is? Well, in case you're too young or I'm too old, meet Walter Cronkite. He's an American broadcast journalist who served as an anchorman for the CBS Evening News for 19 years. Now, during the 60s and 70s, he was often cited as the most trusted man in America. Then, just as today, trust is the foundation of an audience relationship. As digital platforms became the way that more people got their news, I saw a very concerning trend. Consumer trust in news found on social platforms and search engines continue to fall, according to the Trust Barometer study by Edelman. And while consumer trust in online media publishers is growing, as organizations and brands, we distribute a majority of our messaging through these online platforms. So we have to start asking ourselves, are we risking the trust we have built or the future trust that we need to build? Now, if you're thinking, why does this matter to me? I'm not the news. Well, if you create content for an audience, welcome to my side of the street. Your audience, your community, your customers are depending on you to step up. And brands aren't immune to the decline of trust. In fact, according to the 2020 report, only 1 in 3 can trust most brands they buy or use. There's not one industry, brand, or organization that has not experienced a trust crisis. Ultimately, trust unlocks deeper, more resilient relationships between the brand and its consumers. Trust is now the make or break difference maker for brands. Those who highly trust the brands they purchase will reward them with loyalty, engagement, and advocacy. Consider these stats. 75% of people with high brand trust say they will buy the brand's product even if it's not the cheapest. 60% of people with high brand trust say they're comfortable sharing personal information, data with the brand, and they pay attention to the brand's communications. 78% with high brand trust say they're likely to share or repost content about the brand, and they'll also recommend the brand to others and defend the brand against criticism. Our lives are fueled by trust in our loved ones, in our colleagues, and our leaders. But how do we cultivate it? And how do we restore it if it's lost? Well, from research, we know that people grant their trust based on 2 distinct attributes: our competence and our ethical behavior. By the way, if you're a parent, you don't need me or research to tell you this. We've been telling this to our kids for years until it sticks. But nowhere is this more evident than in the annual Gallup Trusted Professions study. Respondents were asked how they would rate the honesty and ethical standards of various professions. The poll found that medical professionals overall were highly thought of, with at least 60% of Americans saying doctors, pharmacists, and dentists had high honesty and ethical standards. Nurses topped the list, with 85% of the respondents saying nurses' honesty and ethics were high or very high. And by the way, this is the 18th year in a row that nurses were on top of the list. And I'm sorry, car salespeople. So here's the rub. How can we build trust if the very nature of our job is to market our product, service, or destination? Self-gain is part of the equation. So let's look at it another way. What makes a brand trustworthy to consumers? In research by Edelman, the top reasons include the brand delivers quality products or services, it receives good ratings and reviews, and the brand charges a fair price for its products and services. So let's dig in and deconstruct ways that we can build trust based on the word trust. So first is T, be transparent. Now, imagine for a moment if brands really embraced transparency, like really embraced it in their advertising slogans. And that was the question a Nashville graphic artist asked himself when he came up with a blog called Honest Slogans on Tumblr. So take a look. We might see more ads like this one. If you've ever put an IKEA piece of furniture together, you know this, right? Or, yeah, I can kind of taste this one. And as a mom, I can definitely tell you that I have felt this over the years. And I used to have an office right above a Subway, so my clothes smelled like this every day. And not even the Girl Scouts are immune. The point is that transparency can be really scary. But being open and honest is more important than ever before. Even something simple like a pop-up on our website can show transparency. And it's clear that we need this. A clear majority of US adults, 81%, now believe that the potential risks they face from a company's data collection outweigh the benefits. That's according to a study for the Pew Research Center. And that same share of respondents reported being concerned about the way their data is being used. They feel they have very little or no control over the data that's collected. So how can we be more transparent? Well, most of my clients are in the travel and tourism business, and they've been hit hard in 2020. But with Americans of all ages saying staying safe from infection is their top priority, hitting the right notes around health and safety messaging, I recommend to all my clients address this on their website. Let's face it, the travel experience is going to be disruptive, with health checks are different when tourists are wearing masks. So ensuring that the message does not get ignored, those facts will be beneficial in the long run. Check out this from Visit High Point, North Carolina. My daughter is an alum, and they're currently in the process of reopening. And that means their hospitality partners are open and ready to welcome visitors. Well, they created a webpage to remind visitors of the expectations when traveling there. The page includes a video explaining safety tips in detail, a gallery featuring repurposed Instagram stories to promote businesses who have responded, and a UGC gallery showing pictures of people wearing masks around town and inviting visitors to share their photos using hashtag #ShareYourWearHP. Trust also can be built by collaborating with people who have relationships with your audience. Now, the role of the influencer, you probably know this, will never be the same, and no one's really sure what comes next. But this is the time to try something different and maybe reevaluate who your influencers are to your audiences and your consumers, and how you can create partnerships that aren't based on influencers or free trust. Maybe it's a business partnership with a non-competitor business that is attracting the same audience that you are. Finding micro influencers that feel comfortable with a video camera is as easy as a YouTube search. Reach out directly to them and see if they want to offer tips on your website to get them and you more exposure. Another opportunity is to use a new tool that just launched last March. It's called SparkToro, and it may be your new secret weapon in relationship building efforts. I know I love it. This is what it looks like. It's a software and a tool that was co-created by Rand Fishkin, who is the founder of Moz and SEO fame. He saw a need in the market for brands and businesses to do audience research and to use online data for that audience research. So let's dig into recent research that I did for a client. Now, I was looking for influencers and people who are talking about wineries in Ohio. The database found 1,370 sources who frequently talk about wineries located in Ohio. The influencer data is broken down by social accounts, websites, and podcasts, YouTube, and audience insights. Now, some of those influencers may be a bit challenging. They might be big, media outlets, but the hidden gem section and the podcast may be more attainable than national publications. So let's say you're a guest or you request of being a guest on an upcoming podcast. Now, the free version will not allow you to create a list or engage, but it gives you a working target list for your content creation and promotion. So have fun with SparkToro while there is a free version available, because you never know. So let's move on to you. And for my money, it's the most important strategy that every brand, business, marketer should be including in their marketing plan: encouraging, curating, and distributing user-generated content. The fact is 35%, UGC is 35% more memorable and 50% more trusted. Why have these non-branded images become so important in the customer journey? Well, it's quite simple. UGC offers social proof. As social creatures, it's in our DNA, but social media has put this into overdrive. In the past 2 years, this trend has escalated across all industries. Sackla's study found that an impressive 86% of people become interested to traveling to a particular destination, specifically based that on friends or families and peers' social images. And it's not just about social scrolling. People actively seek out social proof when researching places to visit and to stay while traveling. 60% of people say user-generated content is the most influential content when they reference when planning travel, far exceeding the 23% that say professional images from travel brands' website and 2% from influencer photos. And we see this happening across all industries. One hospitality brand that's been on the forefront of this strategy is Leading Hotels of the World. They manage over 400 properties around the world, and they recognize the abundance of influence of the authentic images in their guests were posting on social media. So instead of wasting time and money producing tons of picture perfect visuals to support their marketing activities, LHW began supplementing their branded photography with real guest content, featuring across their homepage and property pages, and even creating trending moments, webpage dedicated to their social guest images, complete with calls to action. Now, if you feel like you don't have enough UGC or you need ideas to keep your business relevant now on social, get your audience involved in the content creation game with a content challenge. This amazing example is from the Getty Museum. It's just brilliant. They asked their fans to find 3 household items and use them to recreate famous artworks. They received thousands of submissions, and many of them are just like so awesome. I could spend hours looking at this. And this is also a great way to foster local community spirit. Again, getting Medina businesses together and putting together a challenge for the community and the visitors. Now, I love the B-Town Summer Challenge promotion from Visit Bloomington, where they asked locals to upload and post photos around town doing a set of activities. The activities included a mix of paid and free activities to keep it a low barrier as possible, and of course, being respectful of social distancing guidelines. Well, after 9 days of running a 10-week challenge, the page had 2,000 visits, 4 minutes average time on a page, and over 800 downloads. Now, you can't launch a promotion, expect it to be a success without helping seed the platforms with ideas, guides, and influencer photos. So rally your local businesses to help spread the word and post the promotion in their social feeds as well. One of the best things you can do with your content marketing and social media right now is to help customers who like you become customers who love you. And a user-generated content effort is a great way to start that fire. And I invite you to check out the hashtag BTown Challenge or visit BTown Challenge event on Instagram to see more. So we're on the S, and S is serve more and sell less. So let's use this simple activity to get more service-minded. Draw a Venn diagram, and in one circle, list all the problems your audience, your customer, and your industry is grappling with. In the other circle, lists all the areas that your business or your brand's expertise and attributes. In the space where the two circles interlock, well, that's the sweet spot. You can identify 2 to 3 themes where your audience and brand and business intersects. Now, this may take you some time. It won't be a minute or two exercise, but this should be the start of every single content marketing initiative. Let's look at my favorite example. One of my favorite science museums in the country is the Exploratorium in California. Now, even though they were closed when this was posted, they strategically used their digital footprint to support their audience. This included their Google My Business landscape and their Google paid ads. Now, if we apply that empathy Venn diagram, we can easily see the sweet spot between the audience of parents and educators that are dealing with bored children at home and the parents that want to find more than just fun activities, but entertainment that has educational value. The educators needed to find instructional activities that their students could do at home, and the Exploratorium excels at edutainment. So this was something that they could make accessible on their website. The result was a comprehensive content platform geared towards parents and a distinct but just as robust second platform focused on educators. I also love how they weaved in the donation opportunity through their entire customer path. From search to social and on their own properties, they remind the potential donor just how important they are to reopening. So let's say you completed your organization's Venn diagram. You'll want to dig deeper and want to know what your audience is asking and how you can provide content and information that answers those questions. Well, Answer the Public is a tool out of the UK that I tell people to investigate. It's used by B2C and B2B organizations, big and small, here in the US and in the UK. You simply choose a topic, brand, or product search, and I tested it with content marketing. So let's see what happens. Well, the result is a data visualization of popular questions and queries around that topic. Now, this simple tool will give you plenty of topics and ideas to plan your content for an entire year or more. So on to T. And finally, the commitment and consistency over time is what matters most when you're trying to build trust, because trust over time builds reputation. And according to Impact's research, for cultural organizations, reputation plays a big role in driving success. What others say about you is 12.85 times more important in driving your reputation than the things you pay to say about yourself. Yes, organizations need to market, but more than that, they benefit from communicating and facilitating and sharing of others' positive experiences and perceptions. And digital communication channels are where we need to meet our audience. The web now plays a bigger role than ever before in maintaining a positive reputation that inspires our audience. It's no surprise that people are spending more time on the web now, and social media in particular. At over 50% usage, this social media milestone is all more impressive when we consider that most social media companies restrict the use of platforms to people above the age of 13. I'm not going to go into the controversy about that. But in fact, the latest numbers indicate that nearly 2/3 of the world's total eligible population now uses social media. So your social profiles are a great place to feature your opening activities or reopening activities and build engagement and trust. Use your highlights on Instagram like the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo did. One organization that leverages its content platforms off their website and on social platforms is the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Now, they recognize that soothing content was something they could contribute, and they doubled down from live feeds on YouTube, this jelly cam with a guided meditation on Instagram. Even though they're closed, they understand that they have an obligation to serve their audience during the time when their audience is stressed out. And by the way, their donations have increased year over year. Oh, yep. And I promised I wouldn't leave Reese hanging. So what can Reese and Draper James do now to start earning back the trust of their teachers and customers offended by their COVID washing promotion? Well, if we think about the basic principles of building trust, we can really apply them for regaining trust as well. This is Dorothea Draper, Reese's grandmother, from whom the clothing brand is named after. And many of these simple principles are what our grandmother's been telling us for years. They're called golden rules for a reason. So let's quickly review what Reese can do now. First, transparency. Be transparent. Apologize publicly, personally, and on the same channels they use to promote the initial offer, not just an impersonal PR statement. Respect the relationships developed with their audience. A mistake was made, and as the high-profile face of Draper James, it's up to Reese to own up to it by speaking directly to those teachers who have been impacted. And focus on the users. Many people that signed up for the promotion feel tricked and duped as a marketing ploy to gain their email addresses. So they should remove all 1 million teachers from their database that were lured into filling out the giveaway form. Show what you're doing to earn back the audience trust. This is the time that they can start serving their audience with authentic behavior and content day in and day out. And finally, you probably heard the saying, time heals all wounds. Well, in the case of trust, time is definitely required. Draper James needs to replace this gap with many more good experiences for their audience. Selfless donations, community-focused advocacy, multiple doses of humility will help them regain goodwill. And it's unlikely that they'll win back all 1 million email addresses, but over time, they'll gain back real relationships. The question is, what are you doing to actively build trust with your customers? In a world where your brand is less what you say and more the collective experiences of everyone using it, you can't simply rely on old marketing to meet the challenges of the future. For me, this quote, it's the foundation of modern marketing and really is what content marketing is all about. We strive to build value, and then trust will be earned and success will follow. So remember that sheet of paper? Who did you write down? Now do me a second favor. Replace that name with your customer, whether it's a real customer or a fake persona. Think about that person every time you post on social media or write ad copy for them, for a brochure or for an ad. How can you help them? How can you support them? How can you be a brand and business and organization that they can trust? Thank you so much for your time today. It was certainly fun. And again, please feel free to contact me or my team. Jacqueline and Stephanie, I'm happy to take some time for questions if they were in the chat.
Great, thanks, Jackie. And yeah, if you guys have some questions for Jackie, please feel free to type them in chat. Jackie, I have a question. As you were talking about Draper James and like what they can do, Has the ship sailed on their timeline to actually like own up and apologize on that? Like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's never too late to
Okay.
say you're sorry. I think it's a quote from a movie, but it truly is never too late. I mean, I think people sometimes are fearful. Is that just going to cause attention to it? It doesn't go away. It never goes away. That's the beauty and the challenge of online media and online platforms. Things don't go away. So if you're not actively out there showing that you made an effort to apologize and then make a difference on that apology, it's understandable that you're just going to be looked at as being callous and cold.
Sure. I just feel now they need to incorporate the timeline of the delay into their apology now too.
That's right. That's right. I agree.
We do have one question, comes from Tara, who's the marketing director at Amerisil of Ohio. She says her question is, I would love for the project managers across the country to have the ability to share photos of their completed airport runways to allow me to use on social media. I'm searching for a simple platform for them to place their photos with a brief description of the job. They often have their phones and not always have access to a computer. Any suggestions?
Yeah, great one. And there are actually software platforms that you can purchase that will do this automatically. A lot of our destinations and businesses that we work with that have a high volume of UGC use content platforms like CrowdRiff, CROWDRIFF, and you can actually go and compare CrowdRiff with other tools. There's so many of them. But some of our other nonprofits do not have the time to do that or the investment to do that. So what I tell them to do is just post something with branded hashtags. And once they start using that branded hashtags, other people will start to see that and start posting their own things. And when you see that being posted, let's say somebody posts something about my ice cream store, and I'm worried about reposting it without having the rights. I would go to that post and write in there, we love this photo. If you're okay with us using, respond with the hashtag yes ice cream store. And then that starts to collect. I was marketing director for the Science Museum in Cleveland, and that's basically how we collected all of our UGC content, because a lot of them included children. So we wanted to make sure that we had the rights before we reposted those pictures. And once I got the Yes Science Center, or Yes GLSC, I believe was our hashtag, then that became into our pool of UGC content that we could repost. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but just asking them to post and to use a certain hashtag will at least get them to start doing it on their own platforms, and then you can start collecting it from there.
She said, thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
And then we do have another question from Brian with Spire Advertising.
Yeah.
Where should we focus our content? Facebook is the standard, but should we focus elsewhere as Facebook changes and new options develop?
So I look at social platforms when it comes to content as an amplification channel. So your content should always be in your owned media property, so your website. And then Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it really depends on the audience that you're trying to reach. Some of the tools in Facebook for paid ads are just so good that to spend time on organic isn't as important as leveraging the paid tools on Facebook network that includes Instagram. But for example, Cleveland Magazine spends most of their time on Instagram because it lines up with our audience persona. So even though Instagram isn't going to be a huge traffic driver for our content, it's still a great way for us to build a brand experience with our target audience. So start with who you're trying to reach and then leverage using those tools and those channels accordingly. But content should always have a home on a property that you own, not that you rent.
That was a
Brian,
wonderful.
I like it. Brian shaking yes with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Visual thumbs up too. I like it. I like it. We'll give it just a couple more seconds here. If anybody else has any additional questions, please feel free to type them into chat. And then Jackie, like you said, your contact information's on the slide that's on their screen. And if they have a question, maybe they feel more comfortable just emailing you, you're welcome to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please feel free to reach out to me, and the team and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate you jumping into the Zoom with us and speaking to our members. We appreciate all of the great information and just really just value your time. So thank you again. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. And as we said earlier, may the 4th be with you, and go forth and do good things.
Yes. Hopefully see you, Miss Molly, soon.
That's right. Strawberry pretzel jello salad.
That's right. Great. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great day.